Hello and welcome to Brilliant and Branding. We are super excited to be here. I am Angela Durant and I am with,
Erik Garcia from Amsterdam.
and tonight we are talking about AI and whether or not it is a friend or foe. I think we're going to have a healthy conversation. I'm curious to know if you are leaning into AI or if you're leaning out of AI. so, so, um, so let's kick it off. Let's kick it off. My friend Erik Garcia from the Netherlands. It is 5 hours ahead right now, but I thought we could have a healthy conversation, and this is all part of my scheme, Erik.
It is. It's fine.
It's easy to get you when you're tired. Then I can wrestle you to the ground, right?
It's fine. I'm ready for anything. Bring it on. Let's bring
Okay.
it on.
All right. So let's have a healthy conversation about AI, whether or not
hmm
we're using it in our business, what the advantages are. Does it, make, current brands, current high performing entrepreneurs irrelevant?
hmm
Uh, let's get into that.
Sure. Well,
Um, mhm.
I think that when we say AI is a buzzword, so we would not be buzzing if we wouldn't put it in our in the title, right? But
Mhm.
let's try to keep it, as you said, based on marketing and all those things, and not into the whole philosophy. Although we
Mhm.
will touch it a little bit, I can't help it, and I
Mhm.
think it's important for us to also do it. But please, can you tell us how you are leveraging AI? Because you are AI Angela, actually. You're a master of AI already. And yeah, tell
Well,
me.
I'm a fan. I'm absolutely a fan. I know that there's a lot of fear around AI right now, where people are not necessarily leaning into it. But it's not coming. It's here. It's here, and it's moving faster and faster um, than anything that I've seen. It's absolutely here, and the question is going to be, are you going to embrace it and leverage it, or are you going to try and avoid it, which I don't see how you can even not engage with it at all, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Even the thumbnail that we created is AI, right?
Yep.
So but I really like about it are the practical things, the practical uses for AI, and how um, it allows experts, coaches, consultants, professionals to really leverage it for saving time.
Mm. Mm. It's interesting how, as I said, we wouldn't touch it philosophically, but we can't fully evade that. I think that it is not so much whether you use it or not. You are affected by it anyway, and you're affected directly by people who are serving you AI created content
Mhm.
or thumbnails like we did. Although people will see that we look better than AI made us look, so
Wait,
that's
wait, you
one
have to
thing.
share with them what you said when I sent you the thumbnail. What did you say?
I said, well, who needs Ozempic if you can leverage AI, right? So that's another reason to leverage it. But I would
Right.
say that there's an interesting thing is whether you are served AI created content or you are not doing anything. But there's a whole twilight zone in between where people think they might look at AI created content
Hmm.
while it is not or it isn't. People might lose their jobs because their directors think that it can be done better by AI, whether it is true or not. So there is this
Hmm.
whole thing where you might not even be directly affected, but by the specter of AI, you are affected by the
Hmm.
specter of AI,
Hmm.
and it
Hmm.
also it makes us marketing strategists strategizing, right? It's an interesting time to be alive, but it also
Hmm.
means that is it really there where we want it to be, where we need it to be? So that's also something that I guess we'll cover tonight, or at least we'll try to.
Hmm.
But I think before we continue, I think it's good that people understand what AI actually is, or what when we talk about
Hmm.
AI, what are we talking about? Is it okay
Yes,
we dive into
absolutely.
that?
Sure.
So when people talk about ChatGPT, Claude, all these things, what they're basically talking about is large language model (LLMs). What it
Hmm.
basically is, it's just a prediction machine that predicts based on all kinds of things they learned,
Hmm.
they were confronted with. They predict what the next best word would be,
Hmm.
right? So early AI models would have like very, very ugly word combination because their prediction machine was not that calibrated. But
Hmm.
now it's getting better and better because we train it, right? By
Hmm.
asking it and putting everything in. They are now even saying that they're out trained in a sense that there's no more human created training data available.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
then they even tried AIs create content to train each other, and then they actually dumb down.
Hmm.
But back to the thing. So it's a predictive machine, and one of the interesting things, and I already want to put it out here, is that it predicts what the best answer next word could be based on averages. So what you
Hmm.
actually get is a lot of average, or sometimes
Average.
what they call AI slob, right? It's
Hmm.
because it's recessing to the mean,
Hmm.
to the average thing. So that's why a lot of excellent stuff is hard to come by through AI
Hmm.
because it has a lower chance, it deems it a lower chance of being right. So that's why it won't suggest that. What I
Hmm.
mean to say is that, and what we're working towards is that everybody is looking at the same thing that will be reinforced by the
Hmm.
same thing because it's used more. So you will see a recessing to some sort of a generic type of content.
Hmm.
And that edge gives
Hmm.
us marketing strategists a chance to shine.
Hmm. So this is
So,
okay. Let me just pause you there for a second because you dropped a lot of juiciness. Okay, so that is food for thought for sure because it is pulling and bringing into the work something very average. But I would challenge you in saying that sometimes average is good enough. And let me tell you what I mean. I see your eyebrow going up. I see your eyebrow going up, but let me just tell you what I mean. If you're and this is for practical things, for practical things. If you just need to shoot off some emails really quickly, average is fine for me. Right?
mhm.
Because
Yeah,
we're
sure.
basically saying the same thing in our emails, right?
Hmm.
If you need to do put together a spreadsheet, average is just fine for me, right? Or at least
Yeah,
the first iteration of it is fine for me. My perspective on AI is that AI is a tool, but I'm the master, right? It is my servant. I am the
hmm,
master. It can deliver to me the first draft, and then I will edit what I want, or I'll tell it, I want it to be like this, or I want it that. Pull this in, pull that in. And I think if you are masterful in how you use it, and I'm a student and I'm learning, but I think that you can train it for sure. You can train it for sure. But if you're masterful in how you use it, you can have it do, kind of be your junior, copywriter, and then you come behind it and make it your own. You make it better. But it does help you with speed. It helps you with
sure.
speed when you want things done quickly. So a lot of times I'll have our clients leverage AI for practical uses, things that doesn't need to be um, perfectly polished,
Hmm.
but good enough.
Yeah,
Um, and then I also believe that based on the expertise of the human, right? You're going to be able to ask it questions that the average person might not because they don't even know. They're not even thinking in the lines that you're thinking. So they don't even know the nuances of your area of expertise. Yes, they can give AI prompts, but they might not know if the responses are accurate, right? If they're
Yeah.
accurate or if they're in alignment with your thought, your with your own thinking. So I see it again, I see it as a tool that it is the servant, you are the master, and that it is a means to getting things done quickly and completed and off your plate. But I do agree that there are times and when you're really focusing on things that are important that requires you, right? That you be in it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're totally right, and there are so many things to go about it. Let's before I go into what I think about it, let's also see how people are using it now, right? As you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So in marketing, or what it's used a lot for is content creation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in combination with whether it is give me 500 smooth headlines, right? Something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think to
Mm-hmm.
that extent, it is pretty good to give you inspiration and help you think
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, to spar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So that's text wise. Then there is also the video and audio and visual image
Mm-hmm.
side of it, which is also pretty. It's getting better and better with all these nano banana and all these
Right.
models where they're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and another thing where you see it being used is creating websites, although that's tricky, and I think we were going to
Uh,
touch that on that next week, right? So
mm-hmm.
just already putting it out there,
Mm-hmm.
where they say with one prompt, and when we talk about a prompt, Edge, let's tell people that that's the instruction, the simple instruction,
Mm-hmm.
usually framed as some sort of an extensive question that you put
Yes.
in there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say ChatGPT, it's basically like you have a messaging conversation, a chatting conversation
Mm-hmm.
with this AI, and based on the quality of what you put in there, it's also garbage in, garbage out. So
Mm-hmm.
if you really hone that art and that skill of prompting, and you can even ask ChatGPT to improve it, right? Whatever you put
Mm-hmm.
in there,
Mm-hmm.
it will get better. So if you just for simple questions, just tell me the top 5 restaurants in Philadelphia or in Amsterdam. Right, that's pretty easy. But if you want to
Mm-hmm.
say, but that do this, do that, do the other, then it gets more complex.
Mm-hmm.
One other use, before I forget, is what used to be SEO, search engine optimization. So
Yeah.
how to be on the first page of Google, right? That stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That play basically has broken down. It had became a pay to play, and now with
Mm-hmm.
AI, it's still which when they call it like geo, so generative engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
It's different because what you see, and I don't have the exact numbers, but I think it's a growing number of people who are actually using ChatGPT as their search engine instead of Google, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's also Google dove into it with
Mm-hmm.
Gemini and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
um, and that changes the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might have had this enormously optimized website with all keywords, tags, everything, and now people are not even searching for it in Google anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a developing thing because nobody has the holy grail. Like with SEO, everybody had a hunch of where to go, but it's still interesting. And again, one of the things here is for us as marketing strategists, are we creating content for humans?
Mm-hmm.
And increasingly, we have to actually ask, are we also creating content for engines, for AI? Are people asking AI for the stuff that we're offering? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, is our website crawlable enough for AI? Does it serve AI exactly what we want it to serve? So I think the distinction is that humans, we already didn't have a long attention span. That's getting even less now.
Mm-hmm.
Or as we have an AI assistant that does a lot for us, research and stuff, we are maybe inclined to even read less than we did.
Mm-hmm.
So we only want to serve me this and just serve me the top 10, and we will read the top 10 instead of all these 10 or 20 articles.
Mm-hmm.
so the question is, how does it also change the human consumption pattern of content by having
Mhm.
AI in there? So how do you think that
Yeah,
works?
that's an interesting question because I'm reflecting on how I use it, right? And of course, I'm still reading um, articles and books in the area where I'm most interested. But I'll go to AI and say, give me the top insights from this book. Like share with me, how this relates to my business or what, like what's, I keep hearing about this particular topic, you know, tell me
Hmm.
who originated this thought, right? So that I can go to, there's nothing really new under the sun, right? People are taking content and they're making it their own and they're taking models and they're tweaking it a bit. But, one of the conversations that you and I have is around, you know, first principles, where things started, who was the guy who started, this particular thing in marketing or brand strategy,
Hmm.
and how did it evolve over time. So I may go just for the gusto of what I want. Like I want to cut through the clutter and just get to exactly what it is I want. But I guess the question would be, over time, would I stop consuming the long form, the art form of
Mm.
something that was brilliantly written in order to just get to what I need in the moment? And I think that it will be a combination of both. It will be like a both and, right? I'm going to go and get
Yeah.
what I need. And like, is that book worth the time to sit and spend with it? Or do I just need, the framework from it? Do I just need the insights from it and keep it moving?
Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed, and again, this is just going back to how I'm using it,
Hmm.
is it does feed that hungry beast of instant gratification.
It does. Yeah.
It's like what wait a minute. It's taking too long. It's thinking. It's thinking. I expect to get my answer in like in like 5 seconds. What is it? Why is
Yep.
it taking 30 seconds? I need to know it right now. Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, again, there's so much that I would that is firing up
Mhm.
in my brain. But um, one thing that I do see happening, and it is hopeful, and in a sense, is that as people tend to have more time for other things, they might actually spend it on create on more quality instead of having to push
Mhm.
out the productivity. Right, the
Mhm.
the ages of productivity, it might move a little bit more to the machine instead of the human.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
might have time left to do other stuff.
Mhm.
What you also see is that people are assuming already that a lot of the content that is thrown at them is AI created, so they don't have time for it, even if it is. So there's actually this strange thing where even if you might have put in a lot of effort in the beginning,
Mhm.
you might be put into the category of, oh, this is AI stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I think we will see um, this this divide between really human content, content with a soul, and
Mhm.
soulless content.
I agree.
And
Now that I definitely agree with you on, because now I'm watching things, I'm looking at things, and the first thing I'm thinking is it real? Can I trust it? Did a human Is this human generated or is it AI generated? And I always think about I think and and if I'm fooled by it, I'm usually not delighted by being fooled by it. I usually don't
yeah,
like it. I'll give you an example. I was listening to I was on YouTube and I was listening to a recording of, it was supposed to be Oprah Winfrey, right? But it just had her picture and it was just, like voiceover talk from like
hmm,
excerpts from different speeches that she had given. And I was like, it sounds like her and the content is good, but there was something off about it. Like every now and then, a word would be pronounced in a weird way. And I was like, I don't think this is her. And after like the third time I heard a weird word after, spending maybe 20 minutes there, it kind of ticked me off because I was like, I don't want to hear, I really want her. And so I
Hmm.
think about, that scene in the Matrix, right? In the first Matrix where Neo and his crew, they're in a building and the agents are after them, and he sees this black cat, and the black cat, or somebody else sees it, and they said, "Oh, I just saw a black cat," and it was like deja vu. It happened again, right?
Hmm.
It was like they said that was some kind of blip or something in the Matrix. There was a flaw, and I often notice that in the AI content that I have come across, and I don't like it. I think I would appreciate it more if it said it was AI generated, right? Or if it was just obvious, you know,
Yeah.
AI
Yeah.
generated, you know. I
Well,
think
yeah, I could see labels happening as human intelligence, HI, and AI, right?
mm,
And I think that even on Instagram, you have these avatars that look like models, and they need to have this AI label somewhere on there.
mhm.
Otherwise, they are like cut off. But back to what you were saying, which is interesting, is that once you notice it's AI created, you switch off, right? And
Yeah, I don't
um,
appreciate it as much. Um, that it's
so it's strange, right? So we would okay. Let's two things. So first of all, even without AI, we have a hard time trusting each other, right? For and sometimes for good reasons. So why
mhm,
would we then not trust AI if we even not trust humans, right? But
mhm,
somehow I think it also has to do that you are accountable for something, and it feels at least well. This is a human with all its flaws, right? The
mhm,
same as we don't trust a too polished lawyer or a person who is it's too polished. So it needs
mhm,
to have these specks of imperfection to say this is human. So, but then we also see people who are focusing, are looking at AI, especially marketers. Oh, I don't have to do that big effort anymore now because I can
mhm,
let it generate. On the other hand, we also see how people are not consuming it anymore because it's AI generated. So, yes, you
mhm,
might have more content created faster, and it's also at the same time less consumed, less enjoyed, less effective. I think on a net, it might even go down in a sense.
mhm, mhm,
This is just a hunch. What I'm saying is
mhm,
that so people are longing, and you also mentioned the word trust. One of the things, and that's getting better, is the videos, right? So we still see your president, or well, the president of your country. Let me put it that way. Um, lip syncing stuff, right? And we know that
mhm,
okay, that's AI. But there are also videos where it's so real that
mhm,
it might, and they might say something that you would never say.
mhm.
So when you can't trust what you're seeing, um, what should you trust, right? And if it's happening
Right.
all around us, it's really an erosion of trust.
But I
Um,
think it's just kind of part of the culture now. Like I think it's just part of
mm,
what we do. We naturally now, our instinct is to say, is it real? Like,
yep,
is what I'm watching real? Where before, if somebody came on television, you're like, oh, she was on television, right? Or it
sure,
was
yeah,
you see a video or you hear a voice, you're like, that's them. But now the first question is it real? And I mean, there is some appreciation for if it's real and it's that good. We're like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But I don't want to be fooled. Like I want to know what I'm getting myself into. I want to know that who I'm talking to. I think if I were to invest with a consultant and they're sending me AI generated stuff, I would feel like I was getting ripped off.
yeah. Well, with consultants, you're ripped off, except for us, of course. You're ripped off anyway. And I mean that in a sense that when you would ask a McKinsey to do something, we all know that it was an underpaid intern doing most of the stuff. right? Most of the sheets and stuff. And I think that the having the intern as is a good um,
Comparison
a
to.
comparison to what AI still is now. You
Mhm,
still have to teach it, you still have to train it, you still have to check it. And
mhm,
because like your Selenial, it might hallucinate a little bit, especially on Monday morning. No, no, what I mean, as in, so treat it like an intern. And interns sound nice because it's free labor, but you
mhm,
always have to check it. You have to train it. There's
mhm,
there's that. And even with agentic AI, which is like the next version, is where and people might have heard of OpenClaw and all these stuff, where
mhm,
they basically attach an AI to their credit card and all kinds of other stuff, so
mhm,
that it started booking stuff and doing things for you
mhm.
to your detriment for now. It's even like he would give an intern just the keys to the office and everything, and
Right.
just do whatever you want, right? And they would still not. They would miss this human sense of is this wise? And so my point is that I think that without that we as humans we're not and we're getting there, and but the technology might move faster than our
Mhm,
wisdom,
mhm,
and that will always be some sort of friction there. However,
mhm,
on and what I want to say is that I do think there is a hope. There's a hopeful message in here.
mhm.
I can go on for
You're
days. You know me,
Eric.
but
You're all gloom and doom, Eric.
I'm glue and doom. It's yeah, no, no, but there is. I still think that if you keep it where it belongs, and you still don't only see it as, oh, it takes all the lousy the jobs I don't like off
Mhm,
my shoulders, but also see it as an addition, right? As a companion to
mhm,
teach it things, let it do certain things, but
mhm,
not only as a relief. And that's something, and that I've seen my nephew. He's 15, and
mhm,
a few weeks ago I asked him, so how are you guys using AI? And he said, well, we don't. We do some video stuff and just funny little gifs and
mhm,
stuff like that. But most because it's not good enough. It's not nice. And he is like his uncle. He tries to be as lazy as possible.
mhm,
So I expected him and his companions
mhm,
and his friends to use it as much as they can. But I think actually the generation, as much as we have to say about them,
mhm,
um, they also have a better calibrated sense of what's on average what's real and not real.
mhm,
Their BS filter is a little bit better calibrated than we grew up in an analog situation, right? We played outside still.
mhm,
And so I think it's hopeful that they are not handing over everything to AI. And they might even be smarter in that sense than we are, because we
mhm,
have already experienced all kinds of chores that we don't want to do. So we're happy that something is taking it from off our shoulders.
mhm, mhm.
So
So
whenever you, yeah,
I
sorry.
want to talk about a couple things there. I want to talk about, um, because I have a 16-year-old, and he leverages AI, but I encouraged him to use AI
There you
for,
go.
and I'll tell you why. And I think let's have a conversation about um, how we are using it, like how
Sure.
you've been using it, where you find it helpful, what you don't like, and how I've been using. So for example, when my son started this year, he's in the 10th grade. He started this year. He's a very good student. But chemistry, he had never taken chemistry before. This is the first year he took chemistry. And I remember when he first came, he's doing very well in it now. But when he first came
Hmm.
home, the first week or two, he was like, I was like, how are you doing? He's like, I'm not really getting this because it's different. It's different than he's
Hmm.
great at math, he's good in Latin. He does, but chemistry was different. And so I'm not great at chemistry. But what I said to him was, my husband Bill studied chemistry in undergrad. But what I said to him was, how about going to um, ChatGPT, and having it break things down for you, and having it give you examples, and having it give you a quiz, to help, to be a study companion
Hmm.
in learning the information. Because sometimes it's not that you can't get it, but it's just the way that it's delivered to you. Maybe you just need to see it from a different side, a different angle. It needs to be broken down in a certain way. So, and that has been very helpful. I also heard of someone, I've not done anything like this before, but I heard someone say that her niece went out for track. So she was running track, and her sister videotaped her niece running, and then
Hmm.
uploaded it to AI and said, I want you to analyze the video of her running and tell me how she can improve her performance. So it analyzed the entire thing and gave feedback and kind of became a coach to her. And I thought, wow,
Mm.
that's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I've also heard stories of people, leveraging AI to do tasks for them that they don't want to do, like, booking the appointment for the dentist, or things like that, where it can just go in and do what you needed it to do. One time I was looking for an email, and we have a ton of different email accounts, and I knew it was in this one Gmail account, but I could not find it, and I was busy. I didn't have a lot of time to be combing through it and searching it. So I set AI in there to retrieve the data. And I said, this is what I need you to find. I know it's in there somewhere, but I can't find it.
Yeah.
And it went in and it found what I needed and gave it to me in less than a minute. So those are ways that I found um, AI to be really helpful. Another thing that I did, I was talking to a colleague of mine who was working on his marketing plan. And he had to submit this big marketing plan and compare year over year and put, the information and fill in all the boxes.
Hmm.
And so he started doing it and was trying to come up with what he wanted to say exactly and all these things. And I said, why don't you just leverage AI for that? He's like, I hate AI. Why would I do that? It's not gonna, I don't want it to sound robotic. I want it to sound like me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I just sat back and let him continue to work on it and work on it and work. And I think 20 minutes in, I was like, okay. I was like, are you open to just trying it? Like, would you just
Hmm.
be willing to try it? He's like, okay, 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 I'll try it. And I walked him through what to do, and he did it and uploaded what he needed to upload. And in less than a minute, he was like, he read through it. He's like, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This is language that I would use. I would tweak this here, tweak this there, tweak this there. But the amount of time that is saved was incredible. And
Yeah.
in the room with a colleague was another colleague of ours of a different generation, right? He was a boomer in the room, and he kind of had his arms crossed, like, look at these guys. Like, this thing is crazy, right? Why would we use this? But he's sitting back and he's watching what's happening with this marketing plan. And then a day or two later, his daughter was getting married. He was marrying off his daughter. And he said to me, Ange, in private, he's like, Ange, do you think, he goes, I have my daughter's wedding coming, as you know, and I'm not a great public speaker. But as the father of the bride, I'm going to have to give a speech. Do you think AI can help me with my speech? And I was like, I think absolutely it can. And he's like, can you help me do it right now? So I was like, sure. So I sat next to him and I told him to train it, basically, to put in some detail, to put some layers in there,
Hmm.
of how he feels about his daughter and his new son-in-law, and all the things that you wanted to include, the parents of the son-in-law, all these things. And so he's like, do I just type that in? I was like, yep, just type it in. Let's just type it in. So he puts it in, and then I was like, okay, press enter. Let's see what the first draft looks like. And it came back, and he got quiet, and he was reading it. He got quiet. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to gauge his expression, but I see nothing. He's just quietly reading it. And then he stops, and I said, well, how was it? Like, how close is it to? And he said, this is really good. You know why? Because I feel like I'm getting choked up inside thinking about reading this at the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So I find, and I share those different examples with you because they're very practical uses. And again, AI is the servant, it's not the master, right? You're the master. But it can be useful even if it is like I want to write a book and I need to give it some, but I kind of feel like I have writer's block, right? I needed to get my juices flowing. It can be a good thinking partner for you in that way based on the
Mm-hmm.
prompts that you give it. Excuse me. And there are many times I have to say, no, you got it wrong. That's not what I wanted. No, that's not like, don't, I know where you pulled that from, but that's not what I wanted you to do. And it's like basically, you got me, and you got me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to, and I think about our audience, and many of them are very busy, successful, high achieving women. And the challenge is your challenge. You have your home life, you have your work life, you might have some extracurriculars, or you volunteer. Like there's all these things going on. One more example I'll give you of that thing, and that is I volunteer for an organization that I love, and I had to do a spreadsheet. I had to put together this spreadsheet and had all this different data, and I had to organize it and comb through it and remove certain things and all that. And to be honest with you, Eric, I was a bit overwhelmed because it was late in the evening. I was getting tired. I had already done all this other work, and
Mm-hmm.
now I have to do this, and I didn't want to let anybody down. So I was like, let me see if I can leverage AI. Right. So I tell it, I need you to take this spreadsheet and this spreadsheet because I didn't have the time to comb through them to find the discrepancies and see who checked this box. And I was like, this is what I need. This is the outcome that I need. This is what I want it to look like. I even want it to be branded for the organization. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed, excuse me, and I needed to be very user friendly and easy and simple to read. Right. The format. And I gave it to it, and it didn't get it right immediately. Like the first time, it's cut off. It had too much data. It was. But I kept going back and saying, nope, that's not what I need. I need it like this. Nope, that's not what I need. I need it like this. And that process, I don't know, maybe tops 10 minutes, versus it would have taken me hours to go through. It was a lot of data to go through all of that. So I'm saying that to go back to my original idea or thinking, in that it's a tool, right? I use it as a tool to help me to
Mm-hmm.
gain time to leverage what I need to get done. And if it's not something that's super important, like responding to, you know, an email or setting up a spreadsheet, or then I will grant it that ability to do those tasks for me, to take those off my plate so that I can focus on things that are more of a heavy lift.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for your answer, and I know that you are leveraging it very well. I think we all have myriad examples of where it went well and also where it went wrong, right? Still,
Hmm. So I want
um,
to hear. So I want to hear from you, and maybe just so that this is a balanced conversation.
mhm.
I want to hear from you the downfalls of using it. What our audience really needs to be careful with. What the biggest mistakes people are making when they're using AI, right? And
Yeah,
what can get them into trouble, as far as that. And then after that, I would like to talk to you about one of the biggest fears that people have around AI, and that is in losing their jobs, being replaced by it.
sure, sure.
Mhm.
Um, well, we already touched on trust and all that stuff, right? So
Mhm.
quality.
Mhm.
I think there will be a big divide between humanly created stuff that we still that was effort put in there. And you already see it where you see the big mass of content or everything is AI assisted or fully AI created, and it might not even be consumed. It's just out there. And then there are these humanly created diamonds, or also human created garbage, by the way.
Mhm.
So that hasn't changed, but there were the valuation of it will be different. So my question to anybody is whatever you're gonna make with it, is it consumed by humans or by non-humans, right? And how do you want it to be perceived as such? So does your audience mind that it is half AI or full AI,
Mm,
or does their AI analyze it for them, right? Because that's also something that you will see.
mm,
So you have the gatekeeper.
mm,
For a lot of people, will be the filter. The content curator will be or is already an AI.
mm,
So and it will be harder to push through that. So the whole role of content will change, and the valuation of content will
mm,
change over time. Trust is already a thing, and one of the things that I want to say in this thing, and it's very important for a marketing strategy, is that if, or I wouldn't say if, but when you can only trust something when it's right in front of you, with
mm,
you in the room, live events will gain value.
mm,
And there is the whole post-COVID thing where we reinvented the human meetings, and there
mm,
was also the resignation thing. But you will see that in-person meetings will grow in value
mm,
because you put in the effort to come there.
mm,
When we are in the room, Ange, together, you know that I've traveled over the ocean.
mm.
Um, I've not sent my AI assistant to you.
Right, right.
So it would also mean that the old-fashioned handshake, as a sign of trust, will regain its value.
Mm,
But there will always be the doubt: is it real or not? So that will grow. Another thing is that you might overuse it for certain things. So you might have the balance, as you said, it's your assistant, so you still have to check it, but you
mm,
might have that. You have found a certain balance in that. You might not have found it yet.
mm,
I do uh, advise people to start just chatting and challenging and trying it out. I think you need to have some sort of literacy.
mm,
If you don't have it and you don't understand it, then, well, depending on the line of where business you're in or your social situation, you might be cooked.
mm,
More about it later. But so you need to understand what it is.
mm,
And with anything, I think it's more important to know what it doesn't do for you or what it doesn't do well enough for you.
mm,
Um, so we talked about in-person meetings, in-person content that will go up. You might even say if some time frees up, you have more time for meetings and
mm.
coffee. Um, so I think the people who can leverage the human intelligence
Mhm.
well might actually be in the advantage position at this point. Because of this, as I
Say
said, there's
more.
this
Wait,
critical.
say more. Say more about that. You mean the people who are doing things in person, the people who are writing hand notes, the people who are doing these, you know, more personalized things that are clearly not AI may have an advantage.
Yes. So whenever your agent, right, whenever you is trained, and he will send to everybody in your agenda a note on their birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that they don't know and feel everything that you had in common with these people, right? People might sense, oh, this is like a digitally posted Hallmark card. Yeah, nice, but
Mm-hmm.
I have 15 others of those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this really handwritten thing that maybe has a little bit of perfume or a flower or something in it, that is that
Listen
is
to
getting so.
you. Listen to you.
It's so romantic. It's so romantic. Well, but but that's effort. So that will stick out because most people will just have their agent do a lot of things, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine too to a certain large extent, but it's not. Remember how everybody was so whenever Facebook grew in size, people were congratulating each other more just because we had our Facebook said, "Oh, it's Anne's birthday today," right? And in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, everybody was, "Oh, so nice that you thought about it." Oh, it was Facebook. It's
Mm-hmm.
a similar thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So originality, authenticity will gain in value. Um, and I think there's more for that.
Yeah,
Things
and
that are
I will
ephemeral.
say, Eric, you're right in that the energy is different. Like in
Mm,
person, it is, the fact that yes, we could have had you, stream in and talk with, our clients who were physically here, but it was not the same as someone being able to say, "Oh, Eric, you're so tall." He's 6'4", guys. "Oh, you're so tall," and hug you, and be able to sit down and talk with you and be able to sit across the table and walk them through the buyer's journey and, and
yeah.
the game that we play with them and really talking about strategy with them. There's a different kind of energy that is not, there's nothing like that in the room. There was nothing like that. So I know that AI would never be able to replace that.
Well, at least not in the too foreseeable future.
Hmm.
Um, but could you have an AI follow everything and just did you actually notice this? Or by the way, they might run. That's how sometimes you have an AI in the conversation as well, right? It's
Mm.
the thing that transcribes and stuff.
Yes.
I think that's fine.
Mhm.
That's good. That's actually maybe it might be even very smart to have.
Mhm.
But analyzing how people move and their gestures and stuff, and that as I said, energy that's far away still.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
basically everything that's about experience and energy, which most of marketing or the
Mhm.
real marketing
Mhm.
is I would say is still kind of safe from AI.
Mhm.
But in the production to get there, I think
Mhm.
AI can play a big role and should play a big role and already plays a big role.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm always getting. I think we're dancing around the point of it's not a bad thing per se. It's on average a good thing
Mhm.
if you use it well, right?
Mhm.
With everything. But be aware, and that's something is that you can't trust the full quality and the quality
Mhm.
assurance of what you do to you should not do that.
Mhm.
Even if it's good, you should always have the human pulse in there. You and people
Mhm.
need to sense the human pulse in there.
Mhm. And,
Amen.
and as long as I'm thinking thinking about other ways to use this, I think there's a common theme on my end. It's like busy woman. How do I leverage this to make my life easier and get more time back to spend with my friends and family and people I love? And
Hmm.
so I forget where I was. We were traveling somewhere and we went by a Tesla. Oh, we were at the US Open. We were at the US Open and they had I think they had a Tesla exhibit or something. And or we were on our way there. We saw it and we went in and we took a look at the Tesla and this was a few years back before all the Doge craziness. We took a look at the Tesla and it had a robot. Like they had this robot in the front of the window and we were asking questions about it. And it's like one day you could have this robot in your house, right? And I was like, as long as it was safe to me and my family, right? I could
Hmm.
see this robot like doing laundry during the day, right? I could see this robot preparing our meals, right? I could see this robot cleaning up my son's room, right?
Hmm.
So those kind of things, I think, with AI intelligence that I could just say or I could text on my phone, I need you to do this. I have company coming. Make sure you clean up, right? Would be a very pleasant thing. I do want to tap on something that I know AI can do it. but I think there's something in human beings that can pick up when something is authentic or not for the most part. And it's getting really good. So I don't know if it'll always be that, but I think there's something about it. And maybe it's the energy that you're talking about. But what I think is the game changer that's very, very human is storytelling.
Mm,
I think that, being able to tell an authentic story, that is something that was your lived experience, and being able to share it with another human being. And I could be wrong, but I don't see AI being able um, to deliver that in the same way that a human can. So okay, I'll pause for a second.
no, no, please, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I think like authentic storytelling based on your lived experience, because AI doesn't have a soul, right? They don't have
Mhm.
a lived experience like we do, is really a very powerful tool in the day of AI, right? And I think, combined with, being belly to belly with another human in the same room with them, being able to have, see things that sometimes I see things and they're just too perfect, right? They're just too perfect. I think as humans, we like a little bit of a flaw, right? Like there has to be something that makes it more relatable, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes I see these people, not humans, these people on video, and I'm like, that every hair is in place, right? It's like, they're just these so beautiful. There's no flaws, right? Perfect skin, right? That makes it almost, you know, something is off. Something in your gut says, I don't know, right? And I think that is probably one of the reasons that a lot of YouTube channels that have people who are not super polished, like they don't have all the things. They just get on and they share, their perspective, why those channels do well, right? And with one of my channels, I always said that I didn't have time to do videos, and that's why I never edited them, right? And I didn't know how well they would do. I was just like, I don't have time to do it, but I have content I want to get out there. There's ideas I want to share, so I'm just gonna share it. And I remember one time I was making a video, right? I was making a video, and where I live, and there was a someone else who lives in our building has a little kid, and maybe the kid's like 3 years old, and the kid was banging, opening and closing these glass doors, right? And in the background of the video, you could definitely hear it, and you couldn't see the little boy because he was tiny, but you could see the doors opening, closing, bang, bang, bang. And I said to my audience, hold on for just a moment. Hold on for just a moment. And I said to the father, I'm in the middle of a video, doing a video. Can you please get your son? And then the father scoops up the son, and then you hear in the background this kid go, ah! Right? And I never went back and edited the video. Like I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to edit the video. My audience will understand. They understand what we're doing here. And then I just let's let it go. And that video did
Mhm.
just fine. The video just did just fine, right?
Yeah.
Because we're humans and things happen and not everything is perfect. And my understanding is that a lot of the videos that are not super, super edited anymore are actually performing very well.
Well, and to the point, there are even people videos where they actually put in human
The
errors
screaming
to
baby.
or something to make it more authentic. Right,
Hmm.
so that's on the other end of the thing, but you're totally right that. But what is it? Is that things have been too polished and too copied and too that. The interesting thing is that a lot of AI stuff
Hmm.
actually use that as reference material.
Mm.
So this whole polished stuff is what actually what it was trained on.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's interesting how that is then reinforced. So that's what
Hmm.
makes it extra AI because
Hmm.
it's trained on basically yesterday's boring, polished content.
Mhm. Mhm.
Still, as in, but I think you're right. But on the other hand, if you, for instance, the hero's journey, right, and the story arc, all that stuff, that has been so published and used in every sense
Mhm.
that I could see that the most of AIs have been trained in Olympic grade
Mhm.
heroic arc
Mhm.
thing. So if you say, well, I'm a banana farmer here, make something and use
Mhm.
Joseph Campbell's hero's
Mhm.
journey, then it will come
Mhm.
up with a pretty good thing.
Mhm. And we
Um,
know it works, right? We know that formula works, but I think there's something to be said about a story that's real. There's
of
something
course.
about it, and I can't explain. So, for example, like I always say to people, have you ever met someone and you just liked them instantly? Like you didn't know them, but there's something in your belly that said, "Oh, they have smiling eyes." Like with you, I didn't really know when I first met you. I was like, "Who is this guy? He's like a bull in a china shop. Like who is he?" Right? But then when I talked to you, I was like, "Oh, okay, all right. I kind of like this guy. He's pretty.
Very
He's
unpolished.
an interesting fellow, huh?"
Very unpolished.
But then have you ever met somebody who they walk into the room and it's almost like the energy shifts. Like there's something about
Mm,
them and they didn't do anything to you, they didn't say anything out of pocket to you, but there's something about them that you're like, it's not doesn't sit right with you. And I think that's maybe it's intuition, maybe it's just your gut. I don't know how to define it, but as humans, we pick up on those things, right? And so I would think that if you shared a story, a heartfelt story about growing up in the Netherlands, with a Dutch mom and an Italian father, and you shared the rich layers of the story that's authentic to you, along with the flaws and everything that comes that makes you human, I think that most humans would feel something. Like there would be something in it that would um and I could be wrong. I could be wrong that AI gets so good that they're like, nope, I know exactly how to write his story. Maybe. But
well,
I
and
think
the way you presented it, it's already an instant tearjerker. Like growing up in the Netherlands, no, anyway. So um,
with your little dog with
yeah, it's yeah.
the so storytelling I think is just really, really powerful. And we know that Joseph Campbell's hero's journey works in movies and books. It works. So AI can definitely leverage what it knows about that to tell a good story. But I think it's the richness that the humans bring to that. It's the experience that AI doesn't, it doesn't have a soul, doesn't bring. Let's talk about quickly about AI replacing humans, because I think that's a big fear that people have.
Hmm.
And I have to tell you, Eric, I'm a little bit disappointed about this conversation. And let me tell you why. I thought you were gonna be like, put up your Duke's edge. It's the US versus the Netherlands, right? Like, she loves AI. I hate it. AI. But we have such common ground, right? In
Well,
our
and
discussions.
maybe we should tell the listeners that you asked me to be nice, so I'm trying to be nice.
I was like, bring it on,
Uh,
Eric. Bring it on.
no, I can't do that. No, the thing is that I'm not on average, so on high end, I think as humanity we're not ready for it yet. However,
Mhm.
when would we be ready, right? What would need to happen for us to be ready? So we need to have this friction, and that's something that we are experiencing now. And one of these frictions is, of course, as you mentioned, is the labor market, right? How is that working?
Mhm.
Um, and in the beginning, I mentioned that there is the specter of AI, right? There is
Mhm.
stuff that it already is doing and can do pretty soon. There is stuff that it can probably never do or never do good enough. But then there is this, maybe it can, let's try it.
Mhm.
Or directors and managers say, well, I got a directive to at least replace half of my people with this,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And what I think, so the spectrum of AI, maybe it can't even do it, but we have to save money here and there, so efficiency, blah 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 blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And on paper, it looks well.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the great examples here, for instance, is um, the reception desk in
Mm-hmm.
offices. Right, there was a time where IT companies had the nice, sorry, it's usually a nice lady because guys, we are not that nice on average. And they would say, "Welcome. What can I do? Oh, you should go there. Hi, hi. Is he in? Is he in today? How are you doing? That thing." And or a door opener, right? What do you call it?
Like a bellman or
Yes,
mm-hmm.
and a consultant would say, "Well, this bellman makes 70K a year. I wanna take the benefit of having saved 70K by cutting this cost."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they noticed all kinds of safety issues, efficiency issues, because this person was the linking pin of everything. He knew everybody. People. It was the first and the last thing that people saw in the hotel or in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a similar thing will happen a lot everywhere where people have been replaced, or
Mm-hmm.
let's try it anyway, or we can't afford to not try it or not be on the end. And that's also what you see, right? Can we afford to lose this game? Right,
Mm-hmm.
there is that fear, and that's a specter of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it can and will replace certain white collar jobs mostly.
For sure, for sure.
And I think that if you are an electrician or a plumber, you're already in high demand, and you will be. Although it must be said that a lot of smarty former white collar employees who have leveraged AI to become a plumber will
Mm-hmm.
also enter that market. So
Mm-hmm.
there is that too, but at least for a certain amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
you will have an advantage because you can do something with your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the hands attached to AI are not good enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
Same with cooking and all that stuff, right? Analog stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those jobs will remain.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that it will be lower paid because there are more people who are jobless
Mm-hmm.
entering that field too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not talked about it a lot. Um, Another thing on a positive note is that I think that human can have more room to do to be
Yes,
human.
hold that thought because I want to talk on
Oh,
that about that, and maybe we can end with that because I do want to talk about that. But let's go back to the work because
mhm,
here's what I think. And my background is in hospitality, and from us doing our live events, like we pay attention to every detail
mm,
because the caliber of women and a few good men who who we work with, we want to make sure that they feel really they're treated well. They're already
mhm,
used to that, but we want to do, we want to just elevate that experience. And here's what I think about AI replacing in the service industry. And say you have a kiosk where you check yourself into a hotel versus having a front desk person there to serve you, to help you. When it's done well, when you have a front desk agent who is human, kind, thoughtful, anticipates the stay, right? Oh, Eric is coming in with his wife and his two kids. And he has an infant. We need to make sure there's a pack and play in the room. We need to make like that, is thinking of these things, anticipating this day, engaging with you when you come in, making sure that you're well taken care of, smiles. There's no substitution for that.
mm.
Remembers your name. Welcome back, Eric. So good to see you. How was your trip to the US? Did you get a Philly cheesesteak? Somebody remembering that at the front desk, amazing. Now,
Mm.
AI can do it, but not well. not well. But the opposite of that, and I love that. I love when somebody is, just excellent at their job and they can really take care of you in the service industry. I love that. But the opposite of that is checking in, last name, right? I would take AI over that any day. And the
Mm,
difference is consistency. At least with AI, if it has no personality, I know what I'm getting. But if, Jamie checked me in and she was phenomenal, gave me great service, and then Jim checks me in the next time I visit and he's like checking in, last name, then I'm disappointed.
yeah,
Many of the hotels have mobile keys so that you don't even go to the front desk anymore, right? You don't have to deal with that anymore. You can check in anytime. You don't have to worry about your room getting sold and you can go straight to your room. Nobody says I miss the human interaction. I wish I didn't have mobile key. I wish I could just, have be greeted at the front desk.
hmm
So I would say at a top-notch place, like if you and I owned a hotel and we ran it and we trained our people, the
yeah,
people would love that over AI. But if they're in a chain hotel, a traditional, not a fancy boutique hotel like we would have, Eric, but
of course.
they're in a chain hotel and they're getting, consistency, mobile check-in, I don't think we get any complaints from them.
Yeah, of course you're right. I also think that you will see a big divide in mass, cheap, automated,
Hmm.
where it's maybe they want to, but they can't afford it, right? Or there is
Hmm.
something else why
Hmm.
it has, or late or introvert or some things where
Hmm.
um, it's just fine there, and you actually prefer, as you said, some you can check in with your phone and do everything. You don't have to do that.
Hmm.
And there is holidays where you want to have this humanness
Hmm.
coming out. And this divide was already there, but it was
Hmm.
run by humans. And now
Hmm.
you might see a shift there. So the
Hmm.
lower end stuff, but it will be the mass, will be cheaply served by AI.
Hmm. And the people
So,
who want a higher touch and are willing to pay for that will have, the human service. But I think at that level, the humans will deliver an exceptional experience to that.
but these humans might also be assisted by AI at some point, right? So I think it's totally normal and expect. I think it's even to be expected that whenever I come back to a hotel, that might
Hmm.
not be the same person, but because they know my name, that that they were served some sort of a file where it
Hmm.
says he likes this, he doesn't like that. So
Hmm.
it's assisted,
Hmm.
and I think that's
Feather
makes.
pillows always the best cabin
Yeah,
comforter.
or a reminder of that, right?
Hmm.
That
And
you
I
do that,
think
and
maybe it's that, the what makes it really great is the combination of the two.
yeah, yeah, of course. Um, so that, but then what it actually means, if I translate it, is that when AI allows the human to be more human,
Hmm. Hmm.
or the positive side of human, right?
Hmm.
Grumpy human
Hmm.
is not what we want.
Hmm.
But if well assisted, they can also be more human in a sense, right? They can be
Right.
more because there's not a stress of I also have to count whatever or I
Yes.
have to. So I think that's the positive side of
Hmm.
it, but we
Yes.
have to grow into it.
And I think too, I think about it from a sales perspective. If you have a sales job and you don't have to do like all the manual inputting and do like you don't have to do all that, you could just have AI help assist with that so that you can be client facing, so that you can spend time building the relationship. I think that is where you can get a lot of leverage and make a difference in
Yeah.
the business you're able to close because of that, right?
But
Um,
then well, one quick challenge on that, and sorry, is that but if everybody has that,
mhm.
then everybody is smarter and knows everything about my taste and my favorite color. What
Yes.
and so there is this brief window, I'd say,
Hmm.
in which you can still be ahead with those things.
Hmm. But I think that
Um,
when it comes to humans, right, that it's a flaw. It's a flaw that we can not always be consistent, right? But I think it is delightful too that we bring our own personality, right? That you have someone. I remember working at a hotel. I was a general manager of this hotel, and I was new at the hotel. So I was in my office, and I overheard the front desk person saying to a guest, "Oh my gosh, you're back again." And then the guest said, "I can't believe they haven't fired you." Right. So of course I hurry up and get out to the front desk like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And they're just cracking up back and forth,
mhm.
harassing each other, right, in a playful way. And it was great. It was great, um, AI doesn't do that, right? So I think that human element that makes it, really fun and delightful. So
Yeah, and sometimes you want to be if it's and such a great AI with them. Oh, what a great idea! You are a Nobel Prize winning thinker, and then, dude, really, right? Anyway,
wait, wait,
I
wait.
think yeah.
On that note, I have to say one thing. I have to say one thing. So one time I was writing into AI. This is when I first started using it, and I was really diving deep into this idea, right? And AI said back to me, it said, I was using ChatGPT, and it said, "Oh, that's an amazing idea. I'm getting chills." And I'm like, "Really now? Are you really getting
Yeah,
chills?" That's
yeah,
giving me goosebumps. That's such a great idea. It's like, really now. so, so
yeah.
let's finish up with, um, let's finish up with imagining what life could be like if,
Mm.
um, AI did, take over all these tasks that we're used to doing. If it did, replace all these jobs, and what life could look like for us as humans. I have some thoughts about this, but I'd like you to go first.
I'm not sure whether you like me like that. If I'm no, I think the thing is, I would love. There is definitely a scenario possible where we all be doing nice things. I
Mm,
think that the challenge for us is, as humans and not very trusty and stuff like that, is the in between,
mm,
right? When things feel we're still not accustomed to things. Some people are going faster than others. So I do think that there is definitely a big chance that things will be better in many ways. But it is this friction in between where we have to learn to walk and talk and dance with it.
mhm,
Um, but for me, what I would love to have, if I may dream, a man can dream, right?
mhm,
Um, I'd love to have this sparring partner
mhm,
that is smart enough to say, "Have you thought about that?
mm,
Um, let me take it. Shall I do it?"
mhm.
Or present me with like a curated set of all kinds of things on that. That's what I would love, and that would really, I would welcome that.
Mhm.
Um,
I feel like I've trained my ChatGPT, who I call Charlie, to be you, Eric. I feel like
well,
he challenges me. He asks me questions in the format that you would ask me. I
so
think I've trained
what?
him to be you.
So why am I still calling in the middle of the night from the Netherlands then? If
Because he
Charlie's
can't
around,
replace you, Eric. He can't replace you.
he's too polished. No, one thing that I must admit, and that's something that really surprised me, and is that I ask it quite a lot of challenging strategic questions.
Mhm.
And at some point, I got some prompt from some AI dude, a real person, but about AI on Instagram. And there's a lot of these people where you have to comment something and then oh, thank you, I send you my prompt guide or whatever.
Mhm.
And this was a prompt that basically was a deep analysis of myself, my personality,
Mhm.
and what it came up with, even if it could have been different if I would have used ChatGPT for lighter stuff. It was a very interesting and right on point
Mhm.
analysis of me. So that was I was part creeped out, and I said, okay, but my third is that how would they have figured how would it have figured this out?
Mhm.
What we can say is that a proper AI keeps a file on you on how to work with you on stuff like that, right? What they
Mhm.
don't like is so it learns from you,
Mhm.
whether
Mhm.
you find it creepy or not. I think on average it's a good thing that it does, right? You don't
Mhm.
want to have to say every time, "Don't call me sir," right? You just want to have that stuff, and it's
Mhm.
getting better and better at it, and you can really give it detailed lists. But I was really impressed with that result, and it's still something that I might look back at, even if it's AI generated, right? One other thing that I want to mention before we forget on in terms of tools, one thing that I really am impressed with
Mhm.
is a Google-based tool called Notebook LLM
Mhm.
that I feed with like PDFs and stuff or YouTube videos, and then it gives me a pretty good breakdown of things so that I
Mhm.
don't spend too much time on watching everything, but I just have a gist of what, and then I can cherry pick.
Mhm.
And what it also does very nicely, it can create a podcast out of it. Although you always see that the guy is in this podcast, always a woman and a man. The
Mhm.
man is telling stuff, and the woman is asking things. It's if you look at it, you recognize it, but it does it pretty interestingly. It's a new way of thinking. The video it creates infographics that are great, and in that sense, I think it's a blessing, and
Mhm.
I will keep using it more and more. And I think so
Mhm.
in terms of research, it's a great tool. Notebook
Mhm.
LLM.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. In a perfect world for me, I'd be lounging, um, having AI or my husband feed me grapes.
No AI for that. No great
I'd
AI.
have AI tutoring my son. And I would have another AI. I would have lots of different little AIs in my home going to get me food and cleaning my place, doing the laundry, doing all those things so that we could just be on vacation and enjoy and take time to
Would be something.
read and just be able to read books that you enjoy reading and learning and learning poetry, writing, So who knows what the future looks like? I'm excited about what's there, and maybe in a very naive way. I don't heavily concentrate on the consequences when I know there are consequences to everything, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I'm excited about where we're going and what we're going to be able to do, and I think the world's going to look very different, very
Oh no.
different. And I think in a lot of ways, it may be able to leverage things for people who don't have. And in other ways, I think it may cause an even wider divide. So we'll see. We'll see. We're not fortune tellers, so we can't say that. But I'm excited to have had the conversation with you,
Same here.
Erik.
Thank you.
Thank you for you know for making it a fun and entertaining conversation, and I hope that the audience was able to gain some insight from what we talked about too. Do you want to just kind of give a summary or any last um, words of wisdom?
No, but wisdom. Well, I just want to say that we have something interesting for next time.
Hmm.
And I briefly mentioned websites. And is in this age a website still relevant? That might be
Hmm.
something for a next conversation, Ange. But
Hmm.
thank you so
Yep.
much. And then yes, there is so much going on that we could have done this from so many angles. We tried a lot,
Hmm.
but on average, I think if done with some wisdom and human sense, this can really be a blessing.
Hmm. Well said, well said. And I'll just leave you with what I've said before, and that is at the end of the day, you are the master and AI is your servant. It is there to help and support you. You are to use it in that way. I would recommend that you use it in that way to leverage it to get more time back, to be more efficient, and to help your business in ways that would propel you forward. And so, with that, I want to thank you for joining us on Brilliant
Yeah.
and Branded. I want to also share with you that we have an upcoming in-person event that we'll be doing just outside of Philadelphia. Eric Garcia comes in for that, so you'll get a chance to meet him in person, all the way from the Netherlands. And for those of you who like the conversations that we're having, we're gonna be diving into all things around building your business, brand strategy, marketing, and the like, storytelling. We always talk about that. We'll be doing that on this channel. Uh, so when we go live, and we'll be doing a lot of live video, when we do that, you'll get notification that we were on. So please subscribe to our channel as we grow it. And we want to thank you for being here. We always end it the same way, don't we, Eric? We want them to go out there. We want
Yes, we
them to
do.
be we want them to be
Balls,
we want them to be bold because it takes
brave.
boldness to be open to these ideas, right?
Of course, yeah.
We want them to be brave, don't fear the future, embrace the future with caution, with knowledge, and we want them to be
Brilliant.
because they absolutely are. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye for
Okay.
now.
Bye bye. Bye bye.